So the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Most Honorable Mia Mottley, she is one of the leaders in the Caribbean that's at the forefront of connecting the Caribbean to Africa. And yesterday we saw a historic moment in Barbados where the king, an Ashanti king from Ghana, visited the beautiful island of Barbados. And this is not only a symbolic victory for us in the Caribbean, but this is very historic. Just imagine 400 years ago, our ancestors came to this region in shackles on a ship, and yesterday we saw an African visiting the island as king. So Barbados was the first place in the British West Indies where slaves arrived. And it was said that the Queen Elizabeth I, at the time, was in the slave trade. And that ship, the ship called Jesus, was the first ship that came to the West Indies. And that was in Barbados. And in 2025, now we're seeing an Ashanti king arriving in Barbados as king.
Of His Majesty Utumfo Osetutu II is being described as a royal homecoming, one that bridges centuries of history between Africa and the Caribbean. Chief Executive Officer of Cuba Enterprise Lady Denta was excited at the arrival.
I'm super excited that Asante has arrived in Barbados. It's historic. It's 400 years since the Brits came to Ghana, came to Barbados. But now the king has arrived, and it's going to be a beautiful journey.
The Ashanti participation adds royal significance to the three-day Cuba Barbados 2025 event, where leaders, investors, and cultural figures are gathering to strengthen Africa-Caribbean partnerships. Juliet Bino Sutherland, High Commissioner of Barbados to Ghana, says the visit and the event reaffirms that Barbados and Ghana share a deep ancestral bond that can now evolve into a powerful modern partnership.
I'm very pleased about the arrival of the Asante Henny. It's a historic moment for us here in Barbados. It's a testimony to the efforts and partnership between the government of Barbados, Cuba, BTMI, the Invest Barbados, to be able to bring all of these people together and really celebrate this partnership between Barbados and Ghana.
Supported by Invest Barbados and the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., the Cuba Investment Conference is expected to attract global attention as it builds tangible bridges in areas like agriculture and creative industries. Chief Product Development Officer at the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., Marsha Aline, says hosting the awards is historic for Barbados.
Today, November 11th, is a significant day. We had the landing of both the Ashanti King of Ghana and also the charter flight coming from Ghana and Nigeria. What a wonderful day it is as we celebrate, all things excellence in terms of our West African brothers and sisters, but also more important from a tourism perspective, it is important to really and truly see the interest destination Barbados from West Africa. And so it really and truly, I think, redounds well to our emerging markets that we're seeing a proliferation of our West African travelers. And it really and truly, I think, gives us good confidence that this market is sound and we will see a lot more travel through and fro between West Africa and Barbados in the near future.
The event is being seen as a reconnection of kin across oceans, bound by history and hope for a shared future.
It was very interesting for me to see the king touching down in Barbados along with WODE, and WODE touched down in Barbados as a diplomat of his country, Ghana. If you don't know, WODE, one of the biggest African YouTuber and an advocate for connecting Africa and the diaspora, recently received a diplomat passport. So he's a diplomat of the government of Ghana. And it was very interesting to see WODE, a young man who dedicated his life to connecting Africa and the African diaspora, seeing him touch down in Barbados along with the Ashanti King. I felt like it was a moment in history. And one of the things that is interesting is that Marcus Garvey is my hero. someone that I look up to. Like the words of Marcus Garvey they are words that I repeat almost every day. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves will free our minds. And many more Marcus Garvey words. And Wode Maya is seen as the modern day Marcus Garvey. And what is interesting is that I've watched Wode Maya in the past 5 years. With technology, Wode Maya was able to accomplish what Marcus Garvey took decades to try and accomplish. And Wode Maya, because of technology, have been able to connect Africa and the African diaspora. In this moment that we're living in, we're seeing African Americans, we're seeing Africans all over the Caribbean, all over Europe, going back to Africa to help and build Africa. And because of technology, because of seeing some of the images coming out of Africa, because a lot of us were tricked by Western media. When we talk about Africa, back in the days, you think that Africa was just one big land filled with tents. And just to see the continent, how beautiful it is. And what Wode Maya has been able to do as a content creator, to go and to document the entire continent so people can see that Africa is beautiful not only in nature but in development. And Africa is not this place that we thought, the images that we saw on BBC and all of those major networks, that is not the Africa. So Wode Maya have been able to document and to show us what Africa is really like. And now we're seeing a lot of people moving to Africa. And Africa has been described as the new frontier. Africa, like I remember having a conversation about 10 years ago with someone that said that they're buying up a lot of properties in Africa. And this was a Jewish person at the time. And then started to look on, and I'm seeing like a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Chinese people going to Africa, buying up properties. And I'm like, when are we as black people going to wake up and see that Africa is really the new frontier? Africa is said to have the youngest population, the only continent right now that the population is growing. Everywhere else, we're seeing a decline in population, but the population of Africa is growing as a continent. And the youngest population, some of the most educated people in Africa. So it was just such a moment in time to see that took place in Barbados yesterday. And what was so interesting and symbolic about the arrival of the Ashanti King yesterday is that Henry Sylvester Williams was born in Trinidad and Tobago in 1869. And Henry Sylvester Williams was the first person to coin the term Pan-African. And the first Pan-African meeting was held in London in 1900. And Henry Sylvester Williams went on to become the father of Pan-Africanism. And then we saw Marcus Garvey, who people recognize as the king of Pan-Africanism. And we're seeing Wode Maya, someone that every time people see him, they're like, you remind me of Marcus Garvey. So to see the connection with Henry Sylvester Williams and Barbados and Marcus Garvey, Jamaica, and Wode Maya, Ghana, it was so interesting to see that connection yesterday. It feels like a full circle moment. But I believe that this is the beginning of something great, because we have seen a lot of African countries being developed right now. Gone are the days, as I said, when you think of Africa as people in tents and without clothing and stuff like that. Africa is being developed right in front of our eyes, and with doors closing for us in Europe, with doors closing in North America, there's going to be a lot of opportunities on the continent of Africa. So I believe that the future is bright, and this connection for the leaders like Mia Motley herself, making this connection between the Caribbean and Africa, between Africans in the diaspora and Africans in Africa, I think that this is a win-win move for all of us, both in the diaspora and on the continent of Africa. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this one. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.